Okay, Baruch Hashem. Welcome, welcome. Yes, thank you for putting on your cameras. Come on, a few more people. Come on, Bracha, Shandel, Sarah, Shira, Dina. Let's see some people, Rachel, for that Fabringen-like atmosphere that we need in this matzav that we find ourselves in. So Lech lecha. We're talking about Lech lecha. That Lech lecha, that Abraham is going on this journey from his land place, from his father's house, in order to mitakein olam, in order to fix the world. So we're going to tie that in to a sicha that the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, gave in 1944. And 14 years later, in 1960, the Rebbe explained it in great detail. Okay, so we're going to begin this journey. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said there's two resources that people have endangered their lives to obtain: coal and pearls. And of course, this is going to be a mushal, and we'll see how we get to the nimshal. So coal is underground. One has to go down to obtain it. Pearls are in the depths of the sea. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, the way to mine coal, there has to be a leader of the team that shows how to go down and find the coal and how to bring it back up. And the miners, the coal miners, must rely on their leader and follow his instructions. But each one has to breathe on their own. Okay, this is still the mashal. They have to get air from above the ground. They can't rely on the leader breathing. Each one needs their connection to air. And the same thing is true about pearls. The person needs to be connected with oxygen, with air from above the water. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, the nimshal everyone can understand on their own. Chassidus is like coal. It adds warmth and light. But to obtain it, we have to be ready to go down to the depths, to be mavarer, to find coal. And we still need to be alive, to be attached to above. Okay, so again, the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying this 1944 in New York. And again, when the Rebbe repeated it in 1960, the Rebbe asked a few questions. One, a mashal is there to bring out a concept. So the mashal is meticulous. Why did the Frierdiker Rebbe bring two examples, coal and pearls? Wouldn't one suffice? You have to have a leader, you have to go down deep, you have to breathe on your own. And the Frierdiker Rebbe began with coals, went into some detail, and he just mentioned pearls. The Frierdiker Rebbe didn't explain the mashal with pearls. So again, everything is meticulous. Why is coal found beneath the earth and pearls in water? And we know that every physical phenomenon has a spiritual source and counterpart. Okay, that brings us to Lech lecha. One needs to take some stress exercises before modern technology, but thank you, I'm so glad, because it's so much fun to see everybody. Okay, here we go. It's hashgacha pratis. Okay, so let's go back to, we're starting with Lech lecha me artzecha umaladetecha me beis avicha, the opening pasuk in our parsha. So everybody asks, the order doesn't make sense. It should say the opposite order. First you leave your house, then you leave your state, then you leave your country. Why is it in the opposite order? It's like if you were in America saying first leave America, then leave New York, then leave your house on Eastern Parkway. It doesn't make sense. We should say first leave your house on Eastern Parkway, then leave your house in New York, then leave your house in America. This makes sense. So geographically, it doesn't make sense. But the truth is, it's not a geographical command. Hashem is referring to an existential journey, and we're all on this existential journey, a journey to within ourselves. So first we leave our land, and secondly we leave our birthplace, and thirdly we leave Beis Avicha. So what are these three stages? Okay, so now we're going to tie it together to the Sikha from the Rebbe about the pearls and the kohl. Okay, kohl is found on land. So land creatures need earth. We came from the earth. Animals and plants need earth. We need something to stand on. Creatures in the sea are in the water. They have to be submerged in the water. A person is only submerged in the dirt when has v'shalom, God forbid. And also we can be above the earth. We can breathe above the earth. We can breathe on the earth. In the earth is the only problem. But for sea creatures, they can only live if they're in the water, right? Everyone gets that. The fish has to be submerged in the water. So for one creature being submerged, the fish, it's life. For a person, it's death. And for a fish to be out of the water is death. And for us, we need to breathe. It's life. So how do we make sense of this? So Chassidus explains. Chassidus explains there's two states of existence. One is water-like. There's a water-like state of existence. And one is a terrestrial state. So the aquatic existence, now listen to this. It's not just we realize Hashem is the source of our life, but we're actually submerged. My entire individual identity is submerged in its godly source, the godly source of life. I understand that my ego doesn't have an independent reality outside of godliness that sustains all life. So let's talk about that idea for a moment, because it fits together with what we've been learning. So the ego. The Rebbe has spoken that since Hashem is everywhere, if we look deeply in the ego, we can find Hashem there. And one of the ideas, of course, is to not identify with the ego all the time, to recognize it. I gave an example a few months ago when I was in Sfat, and there was a young 20-year-old daughter of Shluchim, who was introduced to me, and I said my name, and she didn't recognize it. She didn't say how excited she was to meet me and how she wants to come for Shabbos. And my ego was like, who is this girl? What's wrong with her? Now, that was very useful because I heard the voice of my ego. And then when it interrupted my davening later that week, I was able to say, hey, that's my ego. So it is good to recognize the voice of our ego and that we don't have to identify with it, which is an idea that I don't think I could have even understood really before studying Torah's HaNefesh, that we don't have to identify with it. Okay, so terrestrial existence, we feel separated from our source of life. We might not even realize that we have a source of life. We feel our existence, and Hashem is a concept. So this is an idea we were speaking about. We feel our existence. So you can say that in our terrestrial life, that our existence is axiomatic, or we would say in Hebrew, b'peshitas. It's what we feel. And Hashem is b'hischachus. It's a novelty. It's a concept. Like we feel our existence, and then we learn there's God who's everything, who's creating us. It's a concept, right? So, and we want, of course, for it to be turned around the other way. During the time of the dispute between Hasidim and Misnagdim, there was a Chassid who came to a city. He wanted to speak in the shul, to collect money for pidyon shvuim, for ransoming captives, and he needed permission of the Rav of the city. The Rav was a misnagid. He came to his house, and the Rav said to him, "What's your opinion of Chassidus? And then I'll know if you can speak or not." And the Chassid said, "Chassidim think about themselves, and misnagdim think about God." And the Rav said, "Good, now you can speak." And the Chassid spoke beautifully and collected all the money he needed to ransom the captives. And the Rav gave him derech eretz. And as the Chassid was leaving, he said to the Rav, "I just want to clarify what I meant. A Chassid learns Chassidus, so it's upgelernt, it's clear that Hashem exists. His question is, do I exist?" So he's thinking about himself. Do I actually exist? I feel Hashem, I know Hashem exists. Do I exist? Without Chassidus, that he exists is a davar pashut. It's axiomatic, and all day he has to think, does Hashem exist? Okay. So when we say chassid, it doesn't mean someone who's holding a party card. It doesn't mean that he eats herring. It means someone who is saturated with chassidus in a panemius way. And this is, of course, what we all want. We all want to be saturated with chassidus in a panemius way. Okay, back to our inyan. So the Rebbe Rashab says, the fifth Lubavitch Rebbe, before Tzimtzum, before that big contraction, godliness was the Peshitas, godliness was axiomatic, no question about it. And the worlds, the concept of worlds was a novelty, but his chachos. After the Tzimtzum, the worlds were Peshitas. It was out with this worlds, look, my ego, I'm here. And godliness was a concept, which means before Hashem concealed himself, the natural reality was godliness, and the world was a novelty. In our post-Tzimtzum world, the world is the reality, and godliness is the novelty. So a water creature lives in a reality where he's totally submerged. And there is the neshamas that have come from the Alma Discasia, the hidden worlds. The concealed worlds means their sense of self is completely submerged within the source of existence. I think we should make a l'chaim on that, because we all would like a few moments now and then that our sense of self is completely submerged within the source of existence. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol niyeh b'dvaro. Okay. Continuously aware of the divine presence. I mean, we're happy when we just mentioning the divine presence. I feel better. I remember it. But there's a reality of being in their entire identity is seen as a continuation of the divine presence. And then I guess as someone who defines themselves as a shliach of Hashem. I'm here as Hashem's emissary in the world. And that's how I define myself, if I'm going to define myself at all. That sounds like a very good state of consciousness. Earthly creatures may admit they have a source, but we feel independent. So a person with a distinct identity is called an earthly creature. A soul that's one with its source and submerged in godliness is an aquatic creature. And then there's the whole idea that we might not have noticed that fish don't need any preparation before we eat them. Like, I know personally, I can't bear fishing. I can't bear the sight of the fish gasping for air. It's too much for me. The fish, it doesn't need. A chicken needs to be shechted and salted. It's a big deal. But a fish is ready to eat. It doesn't need a tikkun. It doesn't need a fixing. And when Y.Y. Jacobson was telling the story, he said his grandfather, Yankel Lipsker, served the Rebbe in Paris. When the Rebbe came to welcome his mother, when she finally got out of Soviet Russia in 1947, the Rebbe came to Paris to welcome her and lived there till he had the papers for her to come back with him to New York. And every day, Y.Y.'s father, Yankel Lipsker, delivered food to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe wanted fish. And Yankel Lipsker asked, why fish? And the Rebbe said, in fish, The fish are gilgulim of tzaddikim. They're incarnations of tzaddikim. Okay, so Hasidus has two dimensions, coal and pearls, coal from beneath the ground and pearls from the sea. So let's talk now about these two dimensions of Hasidus. Here we go. So number one, the pragmatic aspect of Hasidus. It gives us inspiration to serve Hashem. Yes. So even as the pull of the world is increasingly strong, Hasidus gives us inspiration to serve Hashem. And although we have halacha, before Hasidus, we also had halacha, but as the darkness of Golus became stronger, Hasidus gives the person a hashkafa, a way of looking at the world and looking at ourselves. Hasidus makes the Torah appealing and demonstrates its authenticity even at a time of darkness. So this is the pragmatic, coal-like aspect of Hasidus. And the answer to a person who says, we didn't have Hasidus in the past, why do we need Hasidus now? It's similar to saying, in July, I don't need a heater. Why do I need it now? When it's freezing outside, you need to put on the heater. Someone needs the warmth and light of Hasidus. This is how Hasidus is like coals. And a woman once wrote to the Rebbe that her bubby didn't light Shabbos candles when she was a single girl, so why should she? And the Rebbe wrote back, her bubby didn't read newspapers like she does. Her bubby didn't dress like she does. This she changed from her bubby, so she can also add some light to the world and learn Hasidus. So Hasidus gives us strength to withstand the darkness of Golus. This is the pragmatic aspect of Hasidus. It gives a person depth, it gives a person warmth and light. And to get coal, we need to go deep into the earth. We have to find our source, the source of life, to go deep down and bring it up. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, for this you need a leader to show you where and how to dig. There's a Rebbe in every generation that shows where and how to dig. And this is very meaningful for me right now with the whole situation here in Eretz Yisrael, because so many people have been willing to light Shabbos candles, second cousins, and old friends from fourth grade and camp. And it's like, I get such joy from it. I get such joy. Like the Rebbe told us, do you want to feel good? You want to feel inspired? You want to feel happy? Help another Jew do a mitzvah. Encourage another Jew to do a mitzvah. So we need a leader, a Rebbe, to tell us where to dig, what to do. Like where, if you want to feel happy, you want to feel good, a Rebbe can tell. The Rebbe told us, that's where the energy is in this generation. Digging could be dangerous. Sigmund Freud dug deeply, and he came up with, at the core of human consciousness is a lot of mud. The Alter Rebbe also dug deeply in Tanya and Likutei Torah, and he found that when you dig deeply, you find the Chelik Elokam Mima Al Mamish. You find the piece of Hashem's essence within every Jew. Beneath the mud is coal and diamonds, which can warm us and give us light. But we need to know where and how to dig. So we need a Rebbe for that. And then Rabbi YY says, some people can go to therapy their whole life and become more narcissistic and more selfish. Others become more honest, kind, and self-aware. So it really depends. It really depends on the therapist, as we can see, like that semi-joke that we often tell, that the guy goes to his therapist and says, I'm cheating on my wife and I can't sleep at night. And the therapist says, I can help you with that. You have insomnia. I'm laughing and crying at the same time. Okay. So we got that idea. It really depends. If going to therapy, please pick the right therapist. So Sigmund Freud, Shlomo Freud, interpreted dreams, but we know there was someone who interpreted dreams way, way, way before Shlomo Freud, and that was Yosef. So Yosef is Yud, Vav, Samach, Fe. So the Samach, Fe, that's Shlomo, that's Sigmund Freud, but he's missing the Yud and the Vav, two letters of Hashem's name, two letters of Yosef's name. So Sigmund Freud taught the core is the id. He was missing the yid beneath the id. The id is like the animal soul. It seeks to satisfy its pleasures without any inhibitions. But if we dig deeper, we find the yid of Yosef. Yes. So we need a Rebbe to know how and where to dig. Again, another Jew doing a mitzvah. It's so exciting. I can't, that's really, really one of the perks of this situation we find ourselves in, is that so many people in America are so willing to do a mitzvah to help the Jews in Eretz Yisrael. Very touching. Okay, but we still need to breathe on our own. I can't say, since I have a Rebbe, I don't need to breathe. A person needs to breathe. We can take a break from that. Miners need continuous life. A digger must constantly learn Hasidus. We can't, here's a good one. We can't rely on yesterday's inspiration for today's life. We have to be re-inspired every day. That's why we're here together right now, so we can re-inspire each other. Okay, yes. So now Hasidus also has another dimension. Besides coals, it has the dimension of pearls. Pearls, we know, are found in water. So Hasidus came into the world not only to inspire people, but to share what is godliness. So the two reasons Hasidus was revealed by the Baal Shem Tov, one was to give the Jews a tool to inspire ourselves in the onslaught of modernity, to give Torah a new depth and vitality. So, but the second part, the pearl part of it, is just like the idea on Erev Shabbos, it's a mitzvah to taste the food of Shabbos. Some people make a second kugel just so everyone can have a little taste ahead of time. The Halakha Rabbi Eli Melech of Lezhinsk said before Shabbos, Satan always wants to make a fight between the husband and the wife, because the Shechina comes into the house at Lichtzending, at candlelighting time, and the Shechina only comes if there's Shalom Bayis, if there's peace in the home. So Satan wants a fight so the Shechina won't come into the house. Again, Erev Shabbos, we taste the food of Shabbos, the Torah that will be revealed when Mashiach comes. Hashem gave us a foretaste in these generations. This is what Hasidus is. Hasidus is a foretaste of the Torah of Mashiach. It's such a beautiful idea. Okay. So Hasidus gives us a foretaste of the Torah of Mashiach. It gives us a foretaste of godliness, which is intimacy with Hashem. And as soon as I even hear these words, intimacy with Hashem, it's like, yes, yes, that's what we all want, intimacy with Hashem. So that's to the feeling of being submerged, like a fish is submerged in water. A child can cuddle up with his parent when he needs tender, loving care. Or people can hug when they feel like losing themselves in the embrace of others. One of the things that really appealed to me when I became frum almost 50 years ago was how much Hasidim hug each other. Men are hugging men, women are hugging women. Everyone's hugging. It's such a nice, warm religion. Lose yourself in the embrace of another person. Very, very Hasidic. Yes. Okay. So again, let's look at the nimshal, how Hasidus is like coals and how it's like pearls. The coal aspect is it uplifts, it gives comfort, it gives healing of apathy, healing of laziness, healing of heresy, of coldness. It warms us. This is the earth element. It warms us, warmth and light from burning coal. Now let's talk about the pearl element. Pearls come from the sea to give the world a taste of what godliness is, what Mashiach is. So to lose ourselves in godliness, this is why we're learning Hasidus, to lose ourselves in Elokus. It says when Mashiach comes, the earth will be filled with knowledge of Hashem like water covers the sea. So we understand that coals are a necessity for life. That's what the Frierdiker Rebbe speaks about first. Pearls are not a necessity. A person needs warmth and light. Pearls are a decoration. But when going to the chuppah, the kala is given pearls to wear. So now, as Mashiach gets closer, we're getting ready to marry Hashem. Now we need pearls. Now we need this intimacy with Hashem. Yes. So let's see how we're going to bring this all back together. Okay, so attaching it back to Lech lecha, let's attach it back to Lech lecha and these levels of these three places. Me artsacha, from your land, malaladecha, from your birthplace, and me ves avicha. So back to the three elements where Hashem is telling Abraham he has to leave. He has to leave his land, he has to leave his birthplace, and he has to leave his house. And again, we're saying it's not geographical information because it's in the opposite order of how someone leaves. It's a journey within. Okay, so there are three Jews, famous Jews, who discussed what people are motivated by: Marx, Spinoza, and Sigmund Freud. Marx says all individuals and cultures are motivated by the economy. Therefore, we need an equal distribution of wealth, and this will solve all the problems in the world. That was Marx. Spinoza said a person is a victim of genetic determination of these inborn qualities. Freud said a person is completely defined by psychological complexes, by neuroses, etc. So Lech lecha, 3,500 years ago, Hashem spoke to Avram Avinu about a vision that would guide us so we wouldn't be taken in by Marx, we wouldn't be taken in by Spinoza, we wouldn't be taken in by Freud. Okay, let's look at all of it now. So, Lech lecha, you have to leave Marxism. That's me artsacha, the idea that everything is based on earth, real estate, economy. So that's the me artsacha. Then moladatecha, leave the idea that it's all based on your inborn characteristics, on your genetics. And then that person can feel hopeless. This is my genetics and I'm stuck. And then liberate, the third is from base of Vicha, from the house of your father. Liberate yourself from the Freudian idea that we're completely defined by neurosis, the neurosis that we grew up with, the neurosis at home. And I remember feeling that way when I was in college, feeling like it's just hopeless. I just came from a neurotic situation, so I'm going to be hopeless forever. So Hasidus comes to say, no, untrue, we can get deeper than that, deeper than all three. So all three, yes, it's true, all three have an influence, but there's a lecha, there's a you beyond all three. So lech lecha, go to yourself, go to you, find the you, the lecha, and this will give us a perspective on how to view all three. Even if we feel our relationship with our parents is deeply ingrained, we can still go deeper than that. Lech lecha, not just lech, not just go, but go deeply within ourselves, lecha. The lecha, because the soul is free and can go beyond all of this, beyond economy, beyond genetics, beyond the neurosis we might have experienced at home. Lecha, to go to the depths First, to find Koel, which is the source of warmth and light. And again, although we have a Rebbe, we have to breathe on our own. We have to keep on breathing. So Hashem told Avram Avinu, and this was the foundation of Yiddishkeit, the foundation of Torah, only by having the courage to excavate to our true core will we be able to liberate ourselves from the obsessions and addictions and confinements of Artsacha, Moladetecha, Ubebeis Avicha, and we'll be able to go El Haaretz Asher Arecha, to the promised land, which Hashem says he will show us. So here we are. Some of us are lucky now to be in this promised land, and Hashem, and this, we're expecting miracles. They say, the great teachers say, according to how much suffering there's been, and we all have a broken heart on one side from the suffering of the Jewish people have experienced in the last 2 weeks. So how great will be the miracles we can expect. It should be this week. L'chaim, l'chaim. So thank you all for coming and joining us. And we have a few sweet messages. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad people appreciate it. And love you all. I really appreciate everyone coming here and being here together. I'm really grateful, and should be a great week. Lots of love. Should I take a quick look at some comments? Let's see, where did those comments go? Like, I saw a few go by. Thank you. We did it all together. It's everyone's energy coming together. Baruch Hashem. So thank you. Oh, and so people who signed up, Effie is giving us class. So before the class at 7 on Sundays is Nir Manusi's class, highly recommended. And I'm so lucky. And then we have Effie Ehrenberg's class. I'm very lucky to be sandwiched here between two great teachers. So l'chaim, a good week, lots of love. Shalom, shalom.